Hey everyone, welcome to Neural Notes, show where AI comes alive. Smash that subscribe button and ride the innovation wave.
Every single thought you have, every memory, every feeling, it all boils down to this incredibly tiny, microscopic conversation. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how your brain cells talk to each other across a silent gap using this amazing language of electricity and chemistry. Okay, so picture this. Your brain is just packed with billions of neurons, right? It's like the most complex circuit board you can possibly imagine. But here is the wild part. They don't actually touch. There's a physical gap between every single one of them, and that, right there, is a fascinating puzzle. If there's no wire connecting them, how on earth does a signal get from point A to point B? The answer to that entire puzzle, well, it's all happening right there, inside that tiny communication gap. Figuring out how to cross that divide is the key to, well, everything your brain does. And that gap, it has a name you've probably heard before, the synapse. See, a signal zips down a neuron as an electrical impulse, but when it gets to the end, it basically hits a wall. That electricity, it just can't jump across that little fluid-filled space, so the message has to completely transform to keep its journey going. That's right. That electrical wave, the action potential, it just races to the very end of the neuron and, poof, it stops, dead in its tracks. It literally cannot make the jump. So, to get across, the message has to become something else entirely. It's got to get creative. So, if electricity is out, what's plan B? Well, the brain has this absolutely brilliant solution. Instead of an electrical spark, it uses a kind of lightning-fast chemical handshake to pass the message along. All right, let's break that handshake down. First, that electrical impulse arrives at the very tip of the sending neuron. That arrival is the trigger. It causes these tiny little sacs, or vesicles, to burst open and release chemical messengers. These messengers then just float across that tiny synaptic gap, and then they dock perfectly onto the next neuron's receptors, just like a key sliding into a lock. And those little chemical messengers? Those are the famous neurotransmitters. They are the absolute heroes of this story. They're the molecules that physically carry the signal across the gap, turning an electrical message into a chemical one for just a split second. And this is the magic moment. Once that neurotransmitter key slides into the receptor lock, it's like turning the ignition in a car. It kicks open channels in that receiving neuron, and if enough of them open up, bam, a brand new electrical impulse is born. The message is back in electrical form, and it's off to the races down the next neuron. But wait, it gets even more sophisticated. See, not all of these chemical handshakes mean the same thing. A message isn't always just go. Sometimes the most important message is stop. You can think of it like this. The system has both a gas pedal and a brake. Some neurotransmitters deliver an excitatory signal. That's the go message that tells the next neuron to fire. But other neurotransmitters deliver an inhibitory signal, the stop message, which tells the neuron to quiet down and makes it less likely to fire. It's this constant, delicate balance of shouting and whispering. And this is such a critical point to understand. The electrical pulse, the action potential, it's always the same. It's just a simple on signal. All the meaning, all the richness and complexity, whether to go or to stop, is decided by the type of chemical that gets released. The chemistry is where the actual conversation is happening. Now, this chemical step is so important for another reason. For that brief moment, the signal isn't a protected electrical current anymore. It's a bunch of molecules floating out in the open. It's accessible. And because it's accessible, the system can be hacked. And this is exactly why the synapse is such a huge deal in medicine and pharmacology. That brief chemical phase is a point of influence. It's the precise target for so many things, from antidepressants to painkillers, and yes, recreational drugs too. They all work by tinkering with that chemical handshake. So how does this hacking actually work? Well, there are 3 really common strategies that these outside molecules use to mess with the system. They can impersonate the messenger, they can block the doorway, or they can make the original messenger hang around for way too long. First up, you've got the impersonators. These drug molecules are shaped so much like our natural neurotransmitters that they can fool the receptors completely. They're like master forgers. They slide right into that lock and trigger the very same go or stop command as the real thing. Second, you have the blockers. Now, these are different. Imagine a key that fits perfectly into the lock, but the tip is broken off, so it won't turn. It just gets stuck in there. That's what these drugs do. They sit in the receptor, physically blocking it, so the body's actual neurotransmitters can't get in to deliver its message. And finally, we've got the loiterers. See, normally the brain is super tidy. After a neurotransmitter delivers its message, it gets cleaned up and recycled right away. But some drugs work by blocking that cleanup crew. This forces the neurotransmitters to just hang around, to loiter, in the synapse, hitting those receptors over and over again and massively amplifying their original signal. So this whole incredible dance, from electricity to chemistry and back again, it's happening trillions of times a second inside your head. It's the literal foundation of everything you are, everything you feel, everything you think. So the next time you have a thought, just remember that microscopic ballet in your synapses and ask yourself, how is this delicate chemical balance creating my entire reality, right here, right now,